Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Today I am out here again at Sandland, my friend's off-grid property, where we have such attractions as the former Minnesota Zoo monorail, a former NATO radar dome, some underground tunnels, zip lines, tree houses. Basically, this entire property is a remote off-grid playground. And one of the drawbacks of doing stuff out here at Sandland is we don't have city power. We have no utilities here. We have no water, no internet, barely any phone coverage, and no electricity. Now, Bluetti has sent me something to help with that, and this actually showed up as I was leaving today to get out to Sandland. This showed up at the front door, so I thought, well, we're gonna throw it in the car, we're gonna bring it out to Sandland, and we're gonna give it an immediate real-world test. I haven't even opened the boxes yet, so we've got a power bank and a solar panel, and we're gonna see what those do out here at Sandland today. In addition to all of the silly projects that I just mentioned, we also have this silly project, which is going to be installed this weekend, or at least that's the plan. This is an old grain bin made into a rocket ship or a spaceship prop. It has no real function other than it's cool, and I got the grain bin for free, and I got a lot of these other parts for free, so I slapped this thing together. And this is not going to be just a static piece of sculpture, but it's going to have interactive stuff inside of it. It's going to have lights, sound effects, it's going to have control panels on the inside, and all of that stuff needs power. And ideally solar power, so we can use this anytime. It'll be kind of a cool playhouse with interesting stuff inside, kind of a giant fidget toy, I guess. So I think the Bluetti power bank is going to help operate this, and hopefully the solar panel will keep that power bank charged. Might not get this finished in this video. I will have an entire separate video on the space pod coming out, so stay tuned for that if it's not out already. But in this video, we're just going to look at the Bluetti power bank and kind of see how can it help out with projects like that, with camping out here off-grid, and just basically supporting the sort of off-grid lifestyle. I think this is the first time I've done an unboxing outside at Sandland. Now, this was shipped with FedEx, and I don't really like them because they tend to damage stuff. It's got some slices and cuts. The other box has some pretty good dings and hits. Hopefully the stuff inside is fine, but I usually recommend people just use regular old US mail. The cheaper options out there are cheap for a reason, and things arrive in pretty rough shape sometimes. This is well packaged, so it can take some abuse from shipping companies. Pretty nice solar panel briefcase, and that unfolds out into a pair of panels. And on the back, it has some little legs here, so it can stand up at a 45-degree angle. And we've got some cables inside. So these are the connector cables to go to the power bank, or pretty much any standard solar equipment. These are very standard connectors. Solar panels just keep getting better and better, and they keep getting smaller and smaller. I have a panel that is this size up on the monorail that's about 40 watts, and this is 100 watts. So they are packing more and more power into smaller and smaller volumes all the time. Electric power and solar really is the future. In fact, I think when my antique internal combustion Subaru dies, I'll probably get an electric car. All right, so again, they have double boxed this, so the interior box helps protect it from misuse by shipping companies. So they really do put some thought into packaging these things. I have definitely had products show up at home that are just in a bag from online retailers, or they're in a box with no tape on it or anything. Bluetti actually puts some thought into packaging, and I like that. As I mentioned, the rest of the car is full of stuff for that space pod, so we've got control panels and all kinds of junk in there, and you'll have to watch that video to see what we do with it. So this is the Elite 200 V2, and I have actually used Bluetti systems before. I've reviewed a couple of their power banks, and I really like them. We've got a little box of cables, so we have some adapters to the solar panel connector, we have a regular wall charge cable, and we've got our power bank. Well, this is a pretty hefty guy. This weighs quite a bit. So this is a 2600 watt power bank, and about just over 2000 watt hours of power in it. And I don't know if it'll have any juice in it right away. It did just come out of the box, but we'll fire it up here. It's got 30% power, so it does not have a lot of electricity in it now. And since we are off-grid, I don't have a city power to plug it into. It's also a little bit overcast, so we may or may not be able to get any solar power into this during the weekend, but we'll see if the weather cooperates. We have our DC input, so we can plug in the solar panels or another DC power supply like a car lighter. We have DC output, the old car lighter again. We have various USB, both A and C. And then we have 4 AC outputs. That's pretty nice. Usually these banks only come with like 1 or 2 outlets, so 4 AC outlets is great. Over on the side, we have our AC input for charging it at home. We have a circuit breaker, we have a grounding wire. This is another feature that I have not seen on other power banks, so that's kind of nice. That lets you know they care a little bit more about safety than some of the competition who just doesn't have something like that. In addition to the front panel controls, you can run this from an app on your Android or Apple device. I'm actually going to start using this immediately because the camera battery I was using has died. So I do carry a charger around with me. I just don't always have power. So it's nice to have this guy available. All right, it's not registering any output on the screen, but the charging light is on, so it seems to be working. I'll come back a little bit and see if that battery is charged. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, perfect. All right, we've been out here working away all day, and looks like my battery is now charged. We have a green light, and this thing is still at 27%, so it only used about 3% power to charge up this great big camera battery. I actually camped out at Sandland overnight, and it was a pretty cold night, so we've got a little frost, a little snow on the ground, and some of my gadgets are dead. My phone does not like being cold, so it is completely out of power this morning. Fortunately, we have that Bluetti power bank, so I can just recharge the phone without needing to start my car, and I can keep on working on the Spaceship project today. So we're back home from Sandland, and I've decided to give the Bluetti Elite 200 a charging test here with the solar panel. Now, it's not an ideal day for this because it is only partly sunny. We have a lot of clouds in the sky. This is kind of the average weather for Minnesota, especially in November. So a couple neat things about this system versus other power banks I've looked at. The legs on the solar panels can actually go to different elevations. So we can go to 45 degrees, but we can adjust plus or minus 5 degrees, which is great when the sun is lower or higher in the sky. That's pretty thoughtful, and I have not seen this feature on other power bank solar panel packages before. The other thing is that they included a jumper here for 2 panels. So if I had 2 solar panels like this, or just 2 matching solar panels with the standard plugs, I could hook up both panels to the same cord, and I could charge up the Elite 200 twice as fast. So that is another thoughtful inclusion. All right, we're already getting 100 watts in. That's pretty good. Actually, 109, 110 watts in. And yeah, the panel is just kind of roughly aimed at the sun. It's a cold day, which does improve the efficiency of solar panels versus a warm day. So these do actually work a little better when it's cold like this in the fall and winter. And it seems like we're actually getting about peak power out of the panel. Now, of course, as the clouds move across the sky, that drops down. We're now only getting about 30 watts. But I didn't even have to turn on the Bluetti. I just plugged in the solar panel input and it fired right up. It already knows that there's input. So it's a pretty foolproof system. You don't have to do a lot with it to get it to operate. If I don't end up using this unit out at Sandland, it would be a great backup system for my ham radio operations here at the house and all of my antennas on the garage. It looks like you can go into the settings and select PV or photovoltaic mode for the solar panels, but it just started charging all by itself when I plugged it in. I didn't have to change any settings. And there are some other advanced settings you can get into through the configuration menu. I have not messed with that at all. You can look at the serial number, you can look at error codes or fault history. If it's giving you any problems, you can go right in there and get some diagnostic information out. You can also set this to a high resistance mode for things like electric kettles or electric blankets. That's something I have not tried before, but somebody actually mentioned this weekend that they use their electric blanket when camping with a power bank like this. So that's kind of a nice idea. If you're camping outside in November, it would be really nice to have this running heat sources at your campsite. It also has a UPS mode, so you can use it as a backup system. You can run appliances or lights, and if the power grid fails, this will automatically switch over and become a UPS. It also prioritizes solar recharging, so if you have this as an off-grid system and you have solar power available, it will use that first before recharging itself from the power grid. This actually has a lot of cool features that I have not seen laid out so explicitly in other power bank systems that I've used. This is really set up for a lot of different scenarios, like off-grid camping, off-grid cabins, running it in an emergency situation at your house, having it prepared to jump in and run your appliances if an emergency occurs. I've been hearing about systems like this used a lot more in different parts of the world that are suffering from war or climate change or disasters, and they don't have reliable power grids. In fact, we've been seeing that more and more in the US as our power grid ages, as more and more power companies dump their profits into corporate shares versus updating the power grid. We've been having a lot more blackouts here in Minnesota. Having a backup power system like the Bluetti here is pretty nice, especially when you have solar panels, so you can keep recharging it during a prolonged power outage. You can keep running things like large appliances. You can run things like electric kettles, electric blankets, recharge your electronics, keep a lot of your modern conveniences going in the event of an emergency. It even has a special mode for grid self-adaption for unstable generators or unreliable grid power. That's pretty neat. Well, we only got to about 30% charge on the solar, so I brought this thing downstairs to charge from the grid. Now, I should note that it sucks a lot of power out of the grid, so I have it plugged into the dryer outlet there. It's drawing almost 1500 watts, and that can actually pop the breaker if I use it on a smaller outlet. Now, the plus side of drawing that much current is that it will charge itself up pretty quickly. It looks like about just over an hour before it's full, so that is not bad for a full charge on this thing. All right, we are back at Sandland for another day working on the Spaceship. I've been using this Bluetti power bank quite a bit to run my tools out here because I'm too lazy to drag out a generator and get it started. All right, the day is over. The sun is setting over the monorail, and we've got the space pod a little bit closer to finished. We've been doing all kinds of work on this, just drilling things and putting screws in and sawing and using all sorts of power tools. Let's see where the Bluetti is at. Still at 93%, so it's been running my entire job site. It's been running construction all day long with power tools and charging batteries. Only used 7%. The Bluetti Elite 200 has been really helpful on this project, and it's letting you guys get a sneak peek at this big upcoming project, which is not finished yet, but it should be finished soon, so stay tuned for the full video on the rocket project. I'm really happy with this so far. It's been great for working out at Sandland. It means I don't have to lug a big heavy generator around. I don't have to start up a big noisy generator and smell generator gas exhaust the whole time I'm working. I can actually hear myself talk to people. I can actually have the time to just use the power when I need it and not have to turn the generator on and off all day. And it has plenty of capacity. As I said, I only went through about 7% on this thing, running drills, saws, all kinds of power tools all day long at Sandland, and it kept up with that like a champ. I think I could use this all weekend if I wanted on full charge. I also like some of the thoughtful features that Bluetti has put into these, like having 4 AC outputs and the adjustable feet on the solar panel. That is a fantastic feature that I haven't seen before on other solar panels from competitors, so that is a really nice thought from them. I was also very happy with the efficiency of the solar panel. It was basically over the advertised wattage on a partly sunny day, again in cold weather. Now, because this thing is such a high capacity battery bank, you will need quite a bit of time to charge it, even with a 100-watt solar panel, and you'd probably want 200 watts. You'd probably want 2 of these panels, or you'd want 2 of their larger panels, and they do have several options on their website for different solar panel configurations. You can tell I used this for real life because it is still just coated in dirt from out at Sandland. I really should clean it off before I use it again. But I have no complaints about the thing. It works great in real life. It works great here in the house. It's got all the outputs I could need. It charges batteries, it runs tools, it charges my phone. It basically does everything you'd want a power bank to do. And it has enough capacity to keep up with all of your gadgets on an entire weekend of camping or working. Thank you again to Bluetti for sending me the Elite 200 power bank and the solar panel. I will put links to them down in the description if you'd like to check them out for yourself. And I would recommend this as a good large capacity battery bank for everything from home backup to shop use to use out in the field to camping. It's just a fantastic product with tons of power on the go. Make sure to stay tuned for the full video of the Spaceship project out at Sandland. Thank you to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.